It was an early glimpse of the problems ahead. A Chinese football team from Wuhan arrived for pre-season training in Spain at the end of January. It wasn't a long time ago, but at that time, the coronavirus was seen as a localized problem in China, and the squad hadn't been in Wuhan since the beginning of January, according to their Spanish coach.
El periodo de incubación está más que pasado y bueno, tenemos un médico en el equipo que viaja con el equipo que puede, bueno, atestiguado, ha certificado ante las autoridades sanitarias españolas que no ha habido ningún síntoma.
While Wuhan footballers were in southern Spain, the Madrid government was repatriating citizens from the Chinese city. Within days, the outbreak was declared. A German tourist had tested positive on La Gomera, one of the Canary Islands. And the effect on businesses and the economy was starting to be seen. Blue-chip technology brands began to pull out of the planned Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, scheduled to take place in the last week of February. Sony, Facebook and Nokia joined others in withdrawing. Spanish authorities maintained the conference would go ahead.
Ninguna razón de salud pública nos aconseja tomar medidas adicionales respecto a ningún, insisto, acontecimiento, evento o actividad prevista ni en Barcelona.
Later that day, they changed tack. The event was cancelled.
It is a very dark day, very disappointing. But we know that the sun will shine. It is not about today, it is about our future together. We look forward to hosting all of you here in Barcelona for MWC 21.
By February the 24th, there was concern over another Spanish island, Tenerife, where a hotel was placed on lockdown after a guest became infected.
We are told we're in quarantine due to an Italian doctor testing for the coronavirus. The hotel seems to be acting normally, except that we cannot go out either front or back. There are police cars stationed at all entrances, and then a side entrance at the side of our room where the employees enter.
De momento, los huéspedes permanecen en el hotel hasta esta segunda prueba y en función de los resultados de la misma se adoptarán medidas sanitarias oportunas.
The crisis was yet to decimate the sporting calendar. Ahead of the new season, Formula One testing took place in Barcelona at the end of February, with no concerns about the proximity of fans. By early March, Spain was reporting that 3 people had died from COVID-19. And it was a sign of things to come when the accounting firm Ernst & Young sent home around 3,000 employees from its offices in Madrid when a staff member tested positive. The virus was having an impact on religion too. The tradition of kissing the statues of saints, which usually kicks off preparations for Easter in Spain, was abandoned. A sign reading, "Kissing or touching the figure of Christ is forbidden in order to prevent coronavirus contagion."
No, por protección, y porque soy enferma de alto riesgo. Sí, totalmente de acuerdo. Totalmente.
But large gatherings were not banned. Thousands marched in Madrid on March the 8th to mark International Women's Day, taking the moment to make the point that machismo kills more than the coronavirus. But the number of infections began to swell. Nearly 1,700 cases were reported by March the 10th, with 35 deaths. Flights from Italy were halted. In the Madrid area, schools and universities were closed for 2 weeks. Similar announcements were made in Vitoria, capital of the Basque region.
Y una quinta recomendación nueva que es, también apelo a la responsabilidad de los ciudadanos, pues evitar en la medida de lo posible los viajes innecesarios. Evitar, insisto, en la medida de lo posible.
In scenes reflected in other countries, Spaniards began to stock up on food and essentials. By March the 10th, Spain was reporting a 10-fold increase in infections within a week. Half of the new cases were in Madrid, where the buses and metro were being disinfected daily. Fame and wealth were no protection from the pandemic. Real Madrid sent home their basketball squad when a player tested positive As their football team shared a training venue, they too were asked to self-quarantine, and all matches in Spain's top 2 divisions were postponed. The Spanish capital was eerily quiet, with museums closed and landmarks like the Plaza Mayor emptied of crowds, apart from the odd tourist determined to make the best of an unfortunate scenario.
It actually doesn't change a lot. We stay flexible, so the weather is fine, the sun is shining. So at our home right now, it's quite cold and raining, so it's just nice to enjoy the town.
Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez announced he'd be holding meetings by video conference only. This after one of his cabinet members, Irene Montero, was diagnosed with the virus. On March the 12th, at a video press conference, Sánchez announced an initial package of financial measures worth 3 billion.
Es una cantidad que va a permitir a las regiones, a nuestras comunidades autónomas, reforzar sus servicios sanitarios, que en varias de ellas están sufriendo tensiones a causa del crecimiento de la enfermedad.
Within a day, Spain had declared a state of emergency for its 47 million people. A lockdown due to last 2 weeks. The contagion was spreading through the country and the parliament.
Buenas noches y viva España!
Santiago Abascal, leader of the far-right Vox party, said he had COVID-19. As did Begoña Gómez, the Prime Minister's wife. In Madrid, people who were on lockdown applauded from balconies and windows, showing their gratitude to health workers who are on the front line of the pandemic. By March 18th, the government, with a near-empty chamber, reported nearly 14,000 people were infected, with over 550 dead. A $220 billion aid package was announced to prop up the economy, nearly 20% of Spain's annual economic output.
Una amenaza para la salud pública global que no entiende de fronteras, ni de colores, ni de idiomas. Un desafío extraordinario que nos obliga a tomar medidas excepcionales.
The military continued to disinfect travel hubs while police enforced the shutdown. Border crossings were restricted, including one with the British Overseas Territory of Gibraltar. While historic sites such as the Alhambra in Granada, which has seen worse times in its history, could only be viewed from afar. In the northern region of Galicia, drive-through testing hubs were set up outside hospitals.
Cando o paciente chega arriba, se lle acerca o enfermeiro específico que está facendo as mostras, en un momentiño, en cuestión de 10 segundos, lle toma a mostra, a continuación a mete no recipiente correspondiente e esa mostra sigue un circuito ao laboratorio de microbiología que está precisamente neste mesmo centro. E a continuación lle dá unha folla de recomendacións para seguir no seu domicilio e o paciente se vai. Consume un minuto ou dous.
The Spanish police requisitioned some 69,000 surgical masks from airports around the country to supply the health services. While in Zaragoza, they seized 1,300 masks that were due to be sold by auction online. But in one tragic case that confirmed just how vulnerable the elderly are, 17 people from the same Madrid nursing home died in recent days from the pandemic.
Son grupos que tenemos que proteger. Se está ahora mismo trabajando en un procedimiento para tratar de reducir los riesgos asociados a las residencias de ancianos, proveerlas con los recursos y con los mecanismos para reducir estos riesgos, pero sí que es verdad que si el virus entra en un grupo vulnerable como este, obviamente...
Apart from Italy, Spain has borne the brunt of the pandemic in Europe. This most vibrant of nations, which comes alive when people are outside, is closing its doors for now. In a very non-Spanish state of affairs, this spirited country is quiet and in near silence.